Hi, grade 10s. You're not going to believe this. Ha ha ha. Okay, so we're doing a little bit more on leaves today. It's just to, just to see how it fits together, although we have looked at the transverse section through a typical leaf. So remember, we are looking inside the leaf. So if we're to cut a cross section of the leaf and look inside that cut section, the different tissues that will be found in a typical leaf. So just open this. All right, so there's lots of diagrams, okay? And sometimes they're a little bit inaccurate because they color everything green, the normal story. But let's have a look at the few that I have here in this small PowerPoint. So remember, also looking at my model, okay? My gym bell, what's it? Dumbbells, leaf dumbbells. Okay, so they're really heavy, all right? So remember, we're looking from the top of the leaf to the bottom of the leaf. And you just need to remember these different tissues. And you also need to remember for grade 11 when you do photosynthesis. Right. So once again, there's the top epidermis, colorless cells. That's why I like this diagram, which secretes the waxy cuticle. Then you've got the lower epidermis, which also secretes a waxy cuticle. And sometimes the waxy cuticle on the top of the leaf, covering the top surface, is actually thicker because that's where more sunlight is going to shine. So it needs to be a bit thicker to prevent more transpiration. Then you've got the palisade. Okay, so remember everything in the middle here is the mesophyll, middle of the leaf. Mesophyll, leaf, meso, middle. Then you've got the two distinct layers of cells, the palisade parenchyma cells or palisade cells with more chloroplasts that are more oblong in shape, like a palisade fence. And then you've got the spongy parenchyma cells or spongy mesophyll below that can be roundish or irregular shaped or oval with bigger air spaces. And all of these cells are able to, receive gases from the air spaces by diffusion as they need them, or to get rid of excess gases, which can then leave through the stomatal pores. All right, here you can see a little vein, and then the next diagram is a little bit more detail. All right, so this is also a lovely one. Okay, so right at the top here, the upper epidermis, which secretes the waxy cuticle, which they're peeling off. There's the palisade mesophyll or palisade parenchyma cells with more chloroplasts. The spongy mesophyll or spongy parenchyma cells with really big air spaces. And often the big air spaces link to the stoma, which through which gases can leave to the exterior or gases can enter for photosynthesis or respiration. All right, now there's the vein and there's another little vein. So they're probably joining behind. So this is a vein or vascular bundle. It looks like they call it a vascular bundle sheath. So that could be sclerenchyma or cholenchyma. So if you remember back to my model, this vascular or vein bundle sheath is mostly cholenchyma, and they've colored it in green because cholenchyma cells are still living and can have chloroplasts, and they just have extracellulose added to their walls. And there's even some sclerenchyma top and bottom. Then you've got the xylem at the top and the phloem at the bottom. And if you look again from the side, there we go. So cholenchyma, sclerenchyma, phloem. The yellow is meristematic tissue. We don't have to worry about that in the leaf now. And then the xylem, and then at the top, sclerenchyma, and then more cholenchyma. All right, so this is quite a nice diagram because the xylem is at the top and the phloem is below. Just remember that because sometimes I even want to mix the two up. Okay, phloem is below in the leaf. All right, so now this diagram I normally print for you. It's a summary of everything that, all these different tissues. It's a typical dicot leaf, all right? Dicotyledons like a rose or a sunflower, not a grass. Grass would be monocot, but that we don't really need to worry about that. Oops. There's another word. It's called dorsal ventral. So dorsal in biology is your top. So if you had to walk on all fours like other mammals, that's dorsal. Ventral would be your tummy, which would be facing the ground. Think of Fluffy at home, Fluffy the cat, Fluffy the dog. So dorsal is top, ventral faces down to the floor. So these are dorsal ventral as well, because they have distinct upper and lower surfaces, as we've been explaining. Now, the actual flat part of the leaf, that's called the leaf blade or lamina. So it's got to be a nice flat surface to absorb sunlight, and it's thin. Leaves are thin to reduce the distance that gases have to diffuse from cell to cell. All right, think of our bodies and all the trillions of cells and how we need a really complicated blood vascular system to get things to the cells and things away. All right, so this is a very good summary. There you've got the waxy cuticle secreted by the upper epidermis to reduce transpiration, not to prevent it, but it lets sunlight through. Then you've got the upper epidermis. It's often a single layer of tightly packed cells, normal cytoplasm, no chloroplast. Sometimes some leaves, which need extra strengthening because maybe they're blown around by wind, they have a multi-layered epidermis. So there's so much variation out there. Everything that I've shown you is sort of the average, way that different plant, parts of the plant or tissues look. All right, then you've got the mesophyll, the cells in the middle of the leaf. So the Palisade parenchyma cells, the elongated cells below the upper epidermis with many chloroplasts and smaller air spaces between them. Then you've got the bundle sheath cell, that bundle sheath that surrounds the vein and makes it nice and strong so the veins can hold the leaf flat, because in fact, the leaf blade or lamina, the flatter it is, the more sunlight it can receive. So plants which grow in bright sunlight don't have don't have leaves that are as big as plants that grow in the shade. So imagine you walking through the forest, what's his name? Bear Grylls, walking through the forest trying to find your next meal. You're going to see that the plants growing closer to the ground are going to have bigger leaves with dark green colors. So they've got lots of chlorophyll to absorb lots of sunlight. But the higher you climb up into the canopy, the leaves will be smaller, maybe not as dark green. They've got more lighter green or yellowish colored pigments because they don't have to compete with as many plants as the ones down on the ground, on the forest floor, where they compete for sunlight and need bigger leaves in order to do that. All right, so a bundle sheath cell, so that could be sclerenchyma, or like I showed you in my model, collenchyma and sclerenchyma to support those veins. Then at the top, you've got the xylem, UVWX, okay, well, T, PQRS, TUVWX is how you can also remember T is close to X. All right, but I think it's easier to just remember phloem is below, or xylem is at the top. T for xylem, yeah, anyway. So xylem cells, the tracheas and the vessels, the upper part of the vein, transporting water and mineral salts from the roots up the stem and into the leaves to all the cells, so that the cells can undergo photosynthesis. Because remember, they need CO2 from the air or from their own respiration and water from the soil brought up through the plant by the xylem. Right, phloem below, the lower part of the vein transports food, usually as sucrose, a mucousy sucrose that passes through the, not the companion cells, the sieve tube cells, and it can be either up or down depending on where it needs to go to be stored or to be used. All right, then the lower epidermis, also, colorless cells, secreta, a cuticle, but there are numerous stomata, which is the plural, or pores for gaseous exchange and transpiration. Okay, then you've got the rest of the lower layer of the mesophyll, spongy mesophyll cells. Oops. The roundish or irregular shape, these are more irregular. Parenchyma cells above the lower epidermis with fewer chloroplasts, larger air spaces, which connect to the stoma to the outside, okay, for gaseous exchange and transpiration. There you've got the bean-shaped or kidney-shaped guard cells. And remember how they they fill up, the vacuoles fill up with water, and the cells move apart to open the stoma. And they are the only epidermal cells that contain chloroplasts. All right, so the stoma is the opening or the pore between two guard cells, and there you've got the cuticle, which could be thinner because it's on the lower epidermis and there's not as much sunlight there. All right, so that's a nice summary of leaves, which you really do need to know quite well. Now, this is really pretty. This is, they've taken a cross-section of a leaf, and this has been stained, and it's a microscope slide picture. And so the colors are not the real colors because of the staining, but at the top here, well, there you can actually see the cuticle looks quite thick. And there's the upper epidermis. Here's the Palisade parenchyma or Palisade mesophyll cells with chloroplasts. They're more oblong in shape. And then you even got some sort of oblique sections through veins. It looks like, they've been cut skew. So there's the one vein, there's another vein, and another vein, and even another one. And remember, we call veins vascular bundles. And a bit difficult to see xylem and phloem in this particular slide. And there's the spongy parenchyma or spongy mesophyll with bigger air spaces. And you can see here how they've cut to two guard cells. But if it's a bean shape and you cut across, you're looking at a circle. So there are two guard cells, and there's the stoma or pore between them. And there you can see at the bottom, the epidermis with the thinner, it looks like the thinner one, sort of clearish area, the waxy cuticle. All right, my best one. This is a scanning electron microscope photograph. So you're actually looking, see if I can show here, under the leaf, just partly under and through the middle of the leaf. So there's that mid-rib or mid-vein. There it is. Right, and the cells lining it, and all the cells lining, forming the lower epidermis, and there's even an epidermal hair, which you don't need to know the name. It's called a trichome, a multicellular structure. Looks like it's got a little gland that might secrete a sticky substance. And when you cut through a leaf, the cells are not going to look perfect like our drawings or like my model, but we can see here, and the cells dehydrate. So they don't look as perfect as they would do in a living specimen. So there you've got upper epidermis. Look at those Palisade cells. There's the spongy parenchyma. Just so amazing that this is actually what you see. I'm not seeing guard cells here. I wouldn't be able to tell at this magnification, but here is the vascular bundle, and we'd need a higher magnification and maybe better preparation of the cells to see the xylems at the top, phloems at the bottom, with the vascular bundle sheath around it. And that's the end of my leaf story.